Hey Samantha, and a happy election day to all of Southern West Virginia. I'm here outside the Raleigh County Courthouse where the polls did open at 6:30 this morning. Now you might be wondering, well, where are all the voters? I talked to County Clerk Danny Moore right before this, and he said that this is a normal period for a little lax in the voting turnout. There was a steady turnout this morning before voters went to work, and he expects that this will turn up in the afternoon, and there will be a lot of people into the evening as well. Now in terms of the numbers for Raleigh County so far, there were over 5,000 absentee ballots in the early voting period and 8,000 early voters in person, including 900 each on Friday, Saturday, which were the last 2 days, of course, of the early voting period. That could affect the turnout today in terms of it being a little bit more steady throughout the county at all of the precincts. Now we'll be watching for a couple of things throughout the day, a couple big elections in Raleigh County, both in the county as well as for the House of Delegates as well. There's a lot going on today. I'm going to be here throughout the day, and we'll be talking to Mr. Moore again later after this just to get a sense of when voters can expect to be able to figure out some of the election results that are important throughout the state. But for now, reporting live in Raleigh County, Jake Karalexis, Newswatch. Thanks, Samantha. Thanks, Yasmin, and I am live outside the Raleigh County Courthouse where, just like this morning when I was here earlier, it's a little lull in the polls, and that was to be expected. Talked to County Clerk Danny Moore earlier today, and he said there was a good turnout when the polls opened at 6:30. Expected a little bit of a drop-off in the mid to late morning, and we should see a kick-up as we approach the closing time around 7:30. Now, let me throw some voting numbers at you that Moore gave me this morning. So, through the end of the early voting period on Saturday, there were 5,000 absentee ballots submitted in Raleigh County and 8,000 in-person voters. So if you're struggling for math like I did for this, that's over 13,000 voters through the early voting period. Again, obviously not counting today. Now, Moore said that he expects the turnout for this general election in Raleigh County to surpass the primaries, which was over 13,000. So that's something that we'll be monitoring. And I'll have more on some of the big races in the county coming up on Newswatch at 6. But for now, reporting live in Raleigh County, Jake Karalexis, Newswatch. Thanks, Yasmin. Thanks, Yasmin, and there are a couple of big races that we're looking at in Raleigh County. We'll start this hit with the magistrate race. Now, the magistrate race was supposed to be decided in June at the primaries, but incumbent Steve Massey decided not to accept the position after winning the vote. And in typical fashion, the next highest candidate in votes was Stephanie French, but she was not awarded the position. Instead, there was an interim named, and the election was pushed to November. Now, the November ballot is a little bit different than we saw in June. Stephanie French is once again on the ballot. She's joined by Brian Moore, Paul Bloom, and John Mays, and Moore was a write-in candidate at the June primary. So this one is expected to be hotly contested, and we'll be following it throughout the night. The other big race in Raleigh County is for prosecuting attorney, where we have Democratic incumbent Kristen Keller up against Republican Benjamin Hatfield. Now this one should be fascinating because Hatfield had considerably more votes than Keller at the primaries, but Keller has been gaining steam the last couple of months. We'll also be keeping an eye on that one coming up. And for now, reporting in Raleigh County, Jake Karalexis, Newswatch. Thanks, Yasmin. Thanks, Yasmin. As you can see, I have now moved inside of the Raleigh County Courthouse up to the second floor. Polls did close, like you said, 15 minutes ago, and behind me in the courtroom, they are being tallied, so we should hopefully have some updates for you guys coming up in just a few minutes. Now, wanted to take you, as we talked about some of the contested races earlier, let's talk about some of the uncontested races, those who ran unopposed here in Raleigh County. First up for Sheriff, Scott Van Meter, Democratic incumbent. He ran unopposed. He will be reelected. From the assessor position, Linda Sumner, Republican, also an incumbent, running unopposed. Now, if we move to the county commission, there was a seat open for that as well, and Greg Duckworth won his primary, so he ran uncontested at the general election. He will be taking that seat. And finally, in the 31st district, there was one seat available from Raleigh or Wyoming County, and that was Christopher Toney, Republican incumbent, who also ran uncontested. So, like I said, we should hopefully have some updates on some numbers for you guys soon enough. But for now, reporting in Raleigh County, Jake Karalexis, Newswatch. Thanks, Yasmin.